Let's try you on. Is that better? Maybe that will fix it. Testing 1, 2. Ah, you've got voice now. That's a good start. I have been wrestling with some. Thanks, Scott. I've been wrestling with some sound issues the last few days. Setting up this. There's no game sound now because that's over there. So now if we're back in the game screen, we might actually get some. And yes, the setting up this new PC turned out to be far more involved than I anticipated. It's a while since I've built one from scratch, and there were lots of well, it was a big learning experience, especially when you're trying to do all your investigation in 5 minutes, because whilst I sort of keep an eye on things, I didn't have any budgetary plans. I was expecting to get a full year out of the configuration that I had, so I wasn't prepared at all. And then you're trying to find a balance between what I can afford and what would make this process easier. So that's been just an interesting exercise. Now what we might do here is get this guy. We'll put a worker in here. And if we start an engine, and we'll get him to follow and make straw bales as we go. Yes, so I was able to recover the SSD and the hard disk, which was terrific from a data standpoint. So they were they were spared the challenges. Okay, I don't have follow me on here. Okay, that's going to solve that problem. They were spared the challenges, but as I discovered, all the things like, pretty much all the major pieces of software need to be reinstalled, which means getting all your settings and everything back in the right spot was a real challenge. So, whilst I'd probably spent 2 months getting everything up and running the way I liked it and wanted it, and now I went back to complete behind zero, and are we going to get a straw swath here? We'll find out in a minute. My powerful. What is the straw swath? It's going to be maybe N? No. It's not X. Any clues on what straw swath is going to be? M maybe? No. That's the header. Hey, cool. That's cool, Scott. You've been quite productive. So I've got quite a few videos Straw swath might be comma, he reckons. Let's try comma. And it is. Excellent. Thank you. That's fine if you've only got half an hour. No problem at all. I understand you've been kicking out plenty of videos and activities over the last week, so I've got lots of catching up to do. I'm looking forward to a more relaxing few days. The whole build process was complicated by the fact that the first motherboard I purchased was dead on arrival, so you know, you lose a day trying to figure out if you're just stupid. Oh right, yes. Oh, that's a very busy time for the family. I'm sure it's all very exciting, Scott. Is that... I seem to recall... That's going to be in Dallas, yeah? Yeah, I thought it happened to me twice also. And I thought, no, that's just... It can't be. And so I, despite what the guy in the shop had told me, I thought, you know what, in the old days we would have just put this thing together on the bench and move this tree out of here. It's out. Okay, how do you get a tree out of a head? I might have to turn it off. Okay, this is going to be fun. There we go. Every harvester driver should carry a chainsaw. Yeah, so I decided to go with a bench build to make sure that the second motherboard would at least post, because the first one I couldn't get it to do anything at all. It was completely toast. Why are you not on? So of course I'm reasonably lucky because it wasn't, it's not a high static house. We've got timber floors and I had plenty of solid surfaces, so I was able to be fairly careful. I just put it on a non-conductive clean board, so that kind of worked pretty well, but once I got it connected, of course, you know, it posted, and then of course the guy in the shop had said, "Oh no, well you'll need to install it properly. You know, it won't post without RAM and a CPU." And I'm like, "Yeah, it should. It should then stop in the BIOS load, but it should post." And so, sure enough, it posted. And so then I was able to move forward. And this motherboard helped me out at least a little because the manufacturers put a shield on the back. I think it's to stiffen it because it's an eATX board, and because I put an i9 12900K processor on it, and man, are they a bit of messing around. Whew. So certainly hot, this new stuff, so I've learnt more about temperatures than I wanted to know. Took me back to the good old days. My first mainframe installation. So anyway, that was the experience. If I recall, Scott, you worked in the chip industry, did you not? There we go. We're going to fill up down here. Another thing I learnt was that the AIO coolers don't come with enough paste on them for the big i9, so you end up putting everything together and taking apart a few times, and there's not much room in the case. Okay, let's go get something to empty this into. What have we got here? Vehicles, vehicles, vehicles. Where are my vehicles? You will do. Oh, I want you to pick up. So, let's go to the next one up the hill. There we go. I got a big performance upgrade. So the first thing I noticed with the video that because I just finished recording another episode, and I was going to edit it on the Sunday, so I edited it on the new machine, and it now renders so in half the time. Literally half, so a 40-minute video I was able to render in 20 minutes without doing any tuning on it or anything, so that's a good step up, although I'm still worried that the processor runs a bit hotter than I'd like. And there should be a trailer down here. Drawbars up the other way. i9 12900K is the processor on a Gigabyte Aorus Master Z690 motherboard. That means anything to you? The motherboard's proving fiddly. It's got some odd quirks. For example, the port config for the sound ports don't match the configuration in the documentation, which is just the sort of painful experience you don't really need. Yeah, 3080 straight. So, and I was on a 2070 Super before. I didn't want to go any bigger than the 3080 for a couple of reasons. All the stuff I'd read about the cooling challenges suggested that it wasn't necessarily worth it to tackle that, and I wasn't convinced that what I do would require it. So I figured a 3080 with 10 meg on it is plenty, and so far that's seeming to be the case. So That's good. I mean, the pictures are great. I'm still really only running HD Ultra. Oh, what have we got here? Let's put you... Oops. Put you in, put you down. 4K is interesting, but I kind of am yet to see the point, given you can't really ship it anywhere. All it does is make everything hot. And that was the thing. I figured 4K will produce... no, sorry, the 3080 will produce 4K if I need it and want it, but for the minute we'll just see how we go. I haven't even experimented with trying to view the game in 4K, so I wasn't sure that it would necessarily, looking at the way the graphics settings are set up, I wasn't sure that it was going to render up much different. So, yeah, it was, it's been an interesting week. I've watched a lot more episodes of Jay's 2 Cents than I ever expected to, so now one of his millions of subscribers. He's a bit of an interesting cat, but he does some good practical tests and reviews, which it makes it easier to see what you're doing if you're taking on tasks that you haven't done before or for a long time. It's a good looking day. Won't take us long to get this off here. And what video will you be working on this evening, Scott? Stats all look pretty good. Yeah. Might as well drink my coffee before it gets cold. Tanner, welcome in. Great to see you. It's nice to have you here. Hope everything's going well in your world. We are just harvesting some barley, as you can see. The plan is to make sure that the chooks have got plenty for the coming year, and also that we can make some seed for putting canola in the meadow at the top of the hill. I'm not sure if you've seen us here on Holmakra before. Where are my pipes and hoses? I do not. Welcome, Bernarda. I do not have pipes and hoses. I am holding out till I figure out what to use it for. Yes, I was just relaying a bit of that story to Scott, Tanner. So it is nice to be back up and running, although everything is a little bit fresh and new. I'm still nervously watching everything that's going on to make sure it's all working properly. The settings are all there or thereabouts. But I really hadn't appreciated how much stuff I'd accumulated, like gigabytes and gigabytes of data from both the YouTube side and the farm sim side, and trying to get that all sorted out and reconnected and organized. Yeah, that's true, Bernardo. That so the pipes and hoses stuff seems to be very centered on a BGA, which we don't have yet on this map. So I plan to put one in, and aimed at helping you use slurry and manure, for which I need. Oh, thank you so much, Scott. Whoops. It would help if I watched what I was doing. I really appreciate it, Scott. Thank you. See you, Scott. Thanks for coming. Good luck with your vids. Yeah, so the only other issue with slurry is I don't have any cows, or if we just have a look at the map here. So this is Holmakra. So pretty much the entire map is forested. I've carved out a couple of fields in this corner for some sunflowers and some barley. The main sawmill and our wood processing plant is over here. We've just put a new sawmill up the top of the hill here, and we have cut out a field right on the top of the hill where we're going to plant some canola. So and then the sell point for wood and wood chips is all the way down the bottom here. So we have a cow pasture just beside the canola field up here, but those are the only animals. There's no actual animal dealer on the map, so no cows to produce this slurry or manure. So that's why I haven't really worried about pumps and hoses. And the reviews I've seen of it and the vids that folks like Farm Sim Guy and even Scott have done suggest that it's got a few wrinkles. So I figured I would wait until it got patched, and then we might investigate. That's no problem, Bernardo. I appreciate you popping in and saying hi. I understand the fact that people have to go to work. It was an interesting learning experience, Tanner. I haven't built one for many years, and it's safe to say that technology has moved on a bit. So it was a pretty big learning curve to me. And the added difficulty is normally when you want to learn something, you do that with dinky components. But of course, I knew with what I was trying to do with YouTube and Farm Sim and the like, I actually needed good gear. So I'm using, pieces of componentry that in Australian dollar terms are up around $1,000 each. Certainly the graphics card, the motherboard, and the processor. And so you kind of go, well, if I make a mistake here, that's a pretty expensive error. And then compound it with the fact that the first motherboard I took out of the packet, it took me 24 hours to figure out that was just plain dead. It was never going to work. So then you have to take that back and get a new one, and it was interesting. And then of course the other challenge with buying better and more recent gear is the driver situation, and so getting on, and matching all the drivers and getting everything installed. So that just requires more research and checking. And these days, there's no shortage of content creators, let's say, who are keen to tell you everything that they think they know about a piece of technology, but many of them actually don't have a lot of idea what they're talking about and don't let facts get in the way of a good story. So that's also a bit of a challenge. But never mind, we're up and running. The pictures are coming. I was able to complete the vid that I recorded 10 days ago and get that out, and I was able to record another one tomorrow, yesterday, which I'll edit later on today, and we'll see how we go. So the plans to get this off here, you can see the tree line there. We'll get the barley in, and then we will then we might look at I can't remember if I've got the auger so that I can make some seed. We might investigate that. Yeah, I'll just do your homework, Tanner. That would be my advice. If you're a practical sort of person, it's certainly doable. The trickiest parts, though, are if you're going for the upper end equipment at the moment, then heating and power supply is more important. It's always been important, but you've always had a fair amount of headroom. Now the demands of the big graphics cards and the newer series processors are so high, and they generate so much heat that you really need to watch and understand how the whole cooling and power setup works. So you might have seen some of the sort of sensational vids that are circulating a minute about the new 4090 NVIDIA cards that are reported to have caught fire. Well, you know, it's not that hard. I had g'day, Pleasant View, welcome along, great to have you in the house. Yeah, I had a component try to catch fire in my new build, which luckily I was watching and paying attention. Cooling your PC with vodka, yeah, well, that's an interesting approach. You wouldn't want it to leak a spark and you'd have more heat than you knew what to do with. And Brian Boru, welcome along. Great to have you here. Mark Haythornwaite, we've got a lot of faces that I've seen in other chats, but not in mine, so welcome to the stream, everybody. We're on Holmakra today, and we are making sure my new PC actually can go the distance. So far it's going pretty good. So we've got a bit of barley to get in here. You can see, if you're not familiar with Holmakra, I'll show you our holdings, but we've got some barley up here. The field we've cut out down around the corner there, sunflowers that we use to feed our mill. And then up the hill, over the hill there, we're building a bit of an industrial estate. Ultimately, that's where a BGA will go. Glad to have you along, Brian. Oops, and I need to be paying more attention. It always helps. Let's go around the other side here. No, I never really had, like I was aware of cooling and I paid attention briefly to it, but I'd never experienced the sort of overheating issue that I ran into. Now let's see here. How much do these chickens need? Hey T-Man, welcome along. Thanks for popping in. Glad to have you. We're just getting some barley in, and we'll drop some of that if I can in here. Why am I not getting a trigger? Because I'm not in the right spot. Come on, kick around there. It's only been a week and I've already forgotten how to reverse. There we go. Yeah, I watched a really interesting JZ2 Cents video on the new 4090 and talking about just the challenges that that card represents because of its power draw and new power supplies and the cable intake and all of that. So it's like everything in technology, things keep moving and you end up with crossover points. It certainly struck me that some of the which way are we going here? Some of the cables you get are pretty flimsy for the potential power that's going through them. Oops. Come on. That's it. Get you off there. Where are we here? Okay, those chickens are pretty hungry. Obviously a little while since I fed them. So what parts of the world do we have in the house tonight? I'm, for those that don't know, in Melbourne, Australia, so it's Tuesday morning here, coming up to 9 o'clock. Nice early session of Farm Sim. Tanner's from Indiana, Leeds in the UK for Mark. Okay, so we're up to 3 continents. I've only passed through Leeds briefly on business a decade or, well, probably 2 decades ago. Ireland for Brian Boru. The most based area in the world. Oh, we've got... Okay, now I don't have a bot to deal with that, so I need to figure out how to get rid of that mess. Just hang on a tick, folks. I need to go to somewhere. No. What am I trying to do? Dashboard. And can I get rid of you? No. Thanks, Mark. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. Just as you can see, not quite everything set up, but we're getting there. No, we're not. Rightio. I seem to have managed to mess myself up here and get a little bit tangled. Just sorry for that one over to... G'day, Jason. Welcome in. And I saw that T-Man's in the bottom of Georgia down near Tallahassee. Okay, now I should be able to resume here. Let's try putting the header down. Yeah, well, I'm... let's just say late 50s, T-Man. So, although some days feel later than others. Yeah, there you go. I am sitting up there in the corner of the screen. It's getting a bit hot in here today, actually. I'm probably a bit overdressed. I'm trying to pretend it's spring, but it's been a bit wet in our part of the world. Parts of the state where I live have got their highest flood levels ever, which is causing a bit of chaos. Basically, the eastern seaboard of Australia has had a ridiculous amount of rain this year, which sort of flies in the face of the last 15 or so years of pretty severe, worst on record droughts. So the weather's, safe to say, all over the shop. I think Sydney has had its wettest year ever, and we're only in October. Oh, well, there you go. Yes, I've changed my... I've added a different light. I've got to do a little bit of... Lighting was sort of the last thing I got to because I figured I was the least important part of the picture, Jason. It still does my head in how many things I've got to think about just to make a stream work. Yeah, each individually is not all that complicated and technical, but trying to do all of that and play a game and stream, you kind of look at people like FSG or Mr. Sealy P, and they may just make it so easy. So, anyway, we're getting there. Bubbling along. Yes, the start of Bathurst was wet. The rest of the day sorted itself out pretty nicely, and it ended up being a fairly, well, as long as you stayed on the circuit. It was interesting how many of the younger guns needed to had a bit of a crash course in understanding that the black stuff is where you want to be driving the race car. Because if you get offline, that's it, your race is over. How are we going here? Half a tank, so we're getting through this. And what maps are everybody playing at the moment? I'm trying to decide what to... I want to introduce a new map for our stream, probably for a second stream, but I'm taking suggestions because I really don't have a strong feeling about it. I'm enjoying the series, the videos that I'm making on Griffin. That's a really fun map to play, but I don't want to stream the same place as the series. So looking around, I suspect in a couple of weeks when Silver Run Forest comes out with the expansion, there'll be lots of people looking at that. I'll certainly have a look at it. But I don't really have I left that there deliberately to trigger anybody that's going to look at it every time we drive down, by the way. This map's kind of interesting. It is interesting. It's different. I came onto it because I'm not a big forestry person, and I like the challenge of doing enough forestry and learning how to do it to cut it out, but actually to see if we can make a workable farm. And it's progressing quite nicely. So the only thing is, because there's so little infrastructure on the map, it just feels a bit dead. Lurking's fine, Scott. I've got a single player on Middleborough Jason, and yeah, so economic balance on maps is something that I look for, because to me that's part of the challenge and the way I want to play. Attingham is definitely a possibility, Scott. I'm actually wondering how far away the next Oxygen David map, I think it's going to be called Court Farms. And I just love the look of his maps. I didn't play Calmsden because it seemed to be very popular in the UK community, and the narrow hedgerows do me in a little bit. Tanner's been playing Green Valley and a little on Stone Valley. It's been interesting. I've been watching Virtual Farmer on Stone Valley, and those fields with the washouts in them seem to make contracts pretty unpredictable. I did look at, are we empty there? We're full here, so let's go and put you in the silo. Yeah, I don't have any information to go on. I'm not on the inside loop with any of the community celebrities, so I kind of learn about stuff when, just like you do, when I see it on DJ's channel or it pops up on Mod Hub. I'm not much of I don't have a presence on Facebook either, so I probably should think about it, but yeah, that's why I was really hopeful, Jason, for Middleburg, and it just has that look of it that Nitro Dad, I think he got really annoyed when somebody quite rightly stole it and distributed it before he'd finished, and he kind of gave up. And so there's a whole bunch of things that as you're playing, you're just like, oh, if only it had just taken that next step. And it's such a lot of work to get a map up and out, and Middleburg certainly looks terrific. I'm also conscious with Middleburg that Scott's doing a series there, so you know, he's pegged out that terrain, which is entirely appropriate, and I don't feel the need to do. There's so many other things that we could do. I am thinking about there's a Brazilian map with where you can do coffee, and the map, I think it's just trying to think who the modder was. Is it custom modding maybe? Yeah, I can't remember. It's not La Coronella. Anyway, it's Portuguese territory, and I was thinking that might be an interesting one. It needs a couple of adjustments because the economics are actually broken the wrong way, but they're only minor, just to fix coffee pricing. Renata de Almirada? No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I can look it up in a second. Anyway, that one's a possibility, because I don't mind doing grapes. I certainly found that done with the right equipment, they're not as fiddly and time consuming. What kind of map features? Variety, medium size, a mix of fields. So I don't want everything small or everything large. The really large stuff I find can get a bit tedious, and if I'm using it for a live stream, whilst it's all well and good to set courseplay up and just sort of do one thing for a while, I actually enjoy the challenge of doing that on medium-sized fields with small to medium equipment. So yeah, I understand, Brian. If I recall, this was the first Brazilian map in FS22 with coffee on it. It came out at about the same time as some big Jacto equipment. I just can't for the life of me remember the name of it. A variety potentially of productions, or the ability to add them, just because they create threads that you can then sew together. I like interesting terrain. Forestry is not so important, although maybe that might get easier with the expansion next month. So just exploring different things, but I'm also conscious that, you know, there's an entertainment aspect, so doing things that you guys would want to see and watch is important too. So, you know, finding that balance, that's why I asked. Well, I've almost got this bit done. There's a police station in the middle of the map, just south of the village. That's the, well, south of the township, Brian Burrows. So if that's the one, then you've picked it. I have an idea for a series that I was looking at on it, which would be more of a role play, which was one of those things that was a really good idea in my head until I realised how much more challenging role plays are than regular Let's Plays. And just in terms of production work. So, you know, hats off to people like Scott with the Holler and FSG who can really make that work. I think I have a little bit more skill to development. Yeah, I agree, Jason. I'm well, that's what I'm trying to go for with certainly Griffin is kind of my second attempt, and I'm working at that a little bit there. My play style, you know, setting aside the YouTube side of it, my play style is I like to have that concept in my head before I start even my own single player game. So I like to, you know, have a scenario that I'm working out, and because that's what fuels my imagination. So, you know, for example, when I started my single player playthrough of Middleborough, the scenario that I had there in my head was that I started on hard mode, and we were well, I was, you know, kind of a young 20-something. The family owned the mill, the spinnery, or the cotton and wool mill, and we did live in that the original starting farm, but basically, you know, our parents had gotten themselves into trouble and ran out of cash, and so the bank foreclosed. The big owner of the wineries was buying up all the businesses, and so he was a bit of a pain and putting pressure on trying to get us out of the business that we had, and so when they came to foreclose on the farm and take all our equipment, we sort of escaped with a ute and an old tractor, and ended up buying the field, the sheep pen on the main road, and sort of worked out from there. So I kind of like to have that idea in my head, because then it guides decisions that you make along the way. And when a scenario turns up and you've got a choice, then it's kind of like, oh well, what would my character do now? So, okay, that looks like we just about have all of that off there. Thanks for dropping in, Brian Borrow. See you again next time. Cheers, mate. Right, so let's get you off the field. We might go up the top and check on the sheep. I can't remember where I got to with that field up there. I think I got it partially planted, but then I've rolled over a day, so we've probably got a blank space in the middle of the field with nothing in it, and a struck crop round the outside. So let's go and have a look. Get up the top of the hill. Whoops, that's our new tractor. No. Hello. There we go. Oh no, I haven't planted anything yet. I'm still ploughing. So you can continue, good sir. So this is the field we've cut out. We're right in the center of the map on top of the hill. The plan is to put canola in here because we want to make some diesel over in our new sawmill. Well, behind our new sawmill will be the diesel production. We've cut out a bit of a pasture here. There's some mountain sheep. So they're going okay. They've got plenty of food. There's 40 of them there. So they'll... And we've got some wool coming along. So we'll need to think about placing a spinnery shortly. That's the one thing about this map if you're not familiar with it. So it really is entirely forested, but the different colours are different densities and ages of forest, so the tree sizes vary a little bit. There's the main mill here. And the sell point for the main mill, we have a board drying facility, and we can sell the dried boards down here. But apart from that, there's nothing else on the map. So I'm sort of carving out our sunflower seeds over here. The main road runs around. There's a big hill up here and another one there. So it's a long drive. We might go and look at that in a second. And then this is the area that we own up here that we've just bought, which is the industrial. It's going to be an industrial park because it's kind of a bit flatter. So a good place for the placeables, I'm thinking. And it sort of feels like an opportunity that the concept in my head, to Jason's point before, for this map was a bit more of sustainable farming, but also to create a community in the wilderness. And so it strikes me that some light industrial would be the way you'd sort of get a community started, create the work, and then people would come to live. So there's a lake here, so we might end up building some housing or something. Yeah, the contours make it kind of interesting. Hey, Cranky. No need to apologise, mate. Glad to see you. Good to have you along. So we were just reviewing progress. We've got the barley in, which is terrific. What we might do is, where do we have a semi? There's a tractor right there. What have you got on? So I reckon let's fold you up and back you back into that. I do like the sound of that truck. So let's put you over there. Although, should I just load you up with boards? Maybe we should. Let's do a load of boards. You gonna get round? There we go. So we'll duck back to the boards world because July is typically the month where we get top dollar for our dried products, and it only comes but once a year, so it might be a good day to flog those off. If you're ever wondering the time in the top right corner is my local time, so that's 9:10 on a Melbourne Tuesday morning. I'm actually keen to compare loading this with 82 Studios trailer on the Phoenix, so on the long wheelbase, so because the board sizes are just a little bit awkward and they're heavy. And as you can see, I mean, we've only done half the trip, but it's a fair old drive up to the sell point. Perfect time for another beer then, Cranky. Yeah, what do we got here? We have a device that should be able to load these. Is that going to need a weight on the back is the interesting question. Let's find out. So as you can see, we've got a bit stored up. And if we go and have a look at prices, what are we selling today? Dry boards 1 are at the top price, and dry boards 2 are pretty close, so we'll sell the ones first. Yeah, anytime you want to start the engine would be good. Make it work much better. Let's see here. Let's go. Whoops. Want you wide. This is not going to be ideal, but we'll see. I only just picked this tractor up. I was looking for something else in the store and it came up in the sale. Yeah, that's not going to work. Especially when it's on there. Get out. Of course. So... yeah, see, this trailer is just the wrong size. Oh, we got bots again. Can someone hit that for me, please? It's quite an achievement. This is the first stream. See, this is an inaugural stream for me to have bots. I've never had bots in a stream before. I must have reached some sort of point in the YouTube algorithm. Not necessarily one I was aiming for, but nonetheless. So how do you actually do that, Mark? Shows you how uninformed I am. I wasn't even sure what I have to click on to make that happen, or make them go away. I thought I'd set up all the filters that had happened automatically, but I stopped short of getting Streamlabs Nightbot simply because I didn't I kind of had this working theory that giving another service the ability to... thank you. Giving another service the ability to automatically log in as a bot struck me as a fairly insecure way of dealing with bots. But maybe I'll have to do that. Now, what was I looking for here? I am looking for a weight to go on the back. And I'm quite partial, because they're useful, to these lightweights. Because we can make them... That's a bit heavy. 2.5. Feel free to go to sleep, Mark. I wouldn't want it to deprive anyone. I'm a big fan of sleep. It's a big part of my life. Lighting shadows, yes. Beacons, yeah, let's put a beacon on it. Blue's probably fine. Don't know where that design colour goes. We'll buy one of those. Right. So what I wanted to try with the trailers, because that one we're using is not the go, is if we come in here to, where's 82 Studios? Low loaders. I'm pretty sure it, so they stay in the history. It just means they can't use the same address. So they're just coming in and posting chat. So they've just now refreshed out of the whole stream. Oh no, there's still one there. Let me just, I'm going to kill sound for a sec. Report message. Okay, so I got rid of that. So I got rid of one. Yeah, well, that was the only one I'd done, and they, after you guys hit them, they both disappeared out of mine. So it's fair to say you did have the effect. Yeah, that was one of those steps I hadn't got up to, Scott. I probably should do that. Then I've got to make choices. And to be fair, this is the first time I've had a situation where I've had enough people that moderation might be important. So that's a good problem to have, right? Okay, so the trailer I want to experiment with is this guy here. I think this is the one. Yes, because I think I can do something like take the standard with triples on it at, I just want the flat deck with the dovetail and a goose chacha and take you out at 30 feet, 40 feet. And then, so buy one of those. And I'm pretty sure I can put another one behind it. Oops. I didn't want to do that because I wanted a bumper pull. Because then, if we go back and get our Phoenix, I'll move you out of the way. So the question is how much load distributed across these trailers and at what length does this work? Now I wanted you on first. Because I'm pretty sure you've got the bumper pull on the back. Oops. Get around. Okay, so reversing them is interesting. There we go. Come on. It's a long way back to that rear drawbar. And it's not gonna. That's interesting. I'm sure there's a bumper. Maybe there's not. I thought there was a rear hitch on these. Okay. There is not. I just bought a lot of trailers that I don't need for the minute. Let's even up that hitch a bit. Which way? No. That level, that's could go about there. Let's see what happens. For some reason I thought there was a rear hitch on this. Did I just configure it wrong? Extras, side rails, log poles, side extensions, no. Maybe it's... Yeah, there is a hitch. Maybe it's if I got the tail, I've put ramps on it somehow. I've put dovetail on it and the dovetail doesn't have a hitch. Okay. So I need to go and change the config. We can do that. So let's see here. Back you into the... Come on. Hello. Okay, I'm fairly pleased with that reversing effort. Hope everybody was watching. And jump out of there. Alright, let's customize you. And we don't want dovetail. We don't want... Pretty sure we don't want ramps. Nope. Flat deck, right. That's the one we want. But he finishes square at the back. Where do, if we go to 50 feet, where does it put the extra 10? Ah, that's 40's plenty. Dang. You got to get one cranky. Oops. Okay. So you now have a hitch, which means we should be able to pick up the second guy. Angle. Come on, kick it around. Nah. Come from further away. The depth perception, trying to get that arc on the center of the rear bumper, is fiddly. Okay, there we go. Now how's that going to work? Moderate. Channeling my inner Aussie road train. But for 20 grand's worth of trailers, that's pretty big, serious hauling capacity. The interesting question will be, if we've loaded it up, can we actually get it over the... I'm going to go round. Get it over the hill. Yes, road trains are a pretty interesting outback phenomenon. Where do I want? Yeah, I reckon I want it maybe up a bit further. Overtaking them's an interesting experience. Depends a lot where you are. Why don't move the tractor? So whilst there are some good highways, sort of two lane, and when I say two lane, one in each direction, stretches of road in outback Australia, most, if they're paved, are just a single ribbon of tarmac. And so if you come over a rise and see the dust from a road train in the distance, that's the time that you get off the road. So whatever you're driving, doesn't matter, you get off the road, because you don't want the road train off the road. And in fact, the road train generally won't leave the road. So am I going to be able to get them out of the way even? Let's see. Come on, get under there. That's it. But they can be the best part of 100 metres long. So getting past them takes a little bit of doing. It's actually potentially easier on a dirt road, but you just gotta get out early and drive in a straight line and hope you don't have any fencing or drainage culverts, because again they can narrow down. So it's just a whole new way of navigating. Where are we there? Lay you down, square you up ish. This could take a while. I think there's a recovery series. Yes, getting getting overtaken by a road train is exciting. Again, same rules apply. Pull off the road, get out of the way. If the road train's travelling quicker than you might as well stop and have a cup of tea and wait for the dust to settle. Because driving behind a road train is no fun, and if you're in your own vehicle, very expensive. If you're in a rental vehicle, it can also be quite expensive. Exactly, Jason. Let's just see if we can actually square that up on there. So I reckon 40 feet's the right length for these trailers, because I get 2 of these pallets on. How's that going? That'll do. Okay. Much more civilized with that weight on the back. Yeah, and so 40 feet is definitely the right length. Get out of there. Okay. So we're doing lumberyard simulator today. Having finished our barley harvest. Boop. Whoa. Didn't like that. Let's try. Yeah, maybe. I was just thinking, wonder if the weight is enough to enable me to pick up. Two. Forks aren't happy. Glitching a little bit. We're going to flick that top one off in a second. Okay, so where's the smart money? How many of these will actually leave the trailer? Oh, happy with that. And Mark is the winner. The only vote registered. Now, let's see. Let's take the bottom one. Luckily, I didn't, Jason. I want you back. That's it. Hey, great to have you, Tanner. Enjoy your dinner and hope work's not too taxing. Let's see here. These forks just don't like it when you put two on. He said I should have enough reach to get over. We're almost lost these two. Yes, in a single player game, I probably would have super strength these by now. And in fact, to give us a chance of delivering, I may indeed finish it that way. Let's see here. We're getting there. Oh, go away. Just don't understand what part of the physics causes that reaction. It's kind of up there with the part in my head that says, how is it that objects that are at rest suddenly begin to move? It's like, which part of the physics engine is that possible in? Pull the truck through and load around the back. Yeah, I could do that. I was just actually gonna get the last two on that back one, and then because I'm only going to put I don't think I'm going to go 3 high is my is the plan at this stage. I'll just go with 8 on each trailer and see what the load carry is like over the hill. Is that going to even go in there? That'll be the next big question. exactly out of the yard loadies handbook, but crude but effective. Okay, let's see here. So we got 8 on the rear. Let's go with yeah, nothing to see here. What's in here? That's a dry boards 2. Let's do one of those over the axle. Go on, pop me one out. That's it. Rightio. And load you. Whoops. So 30,000 litres on there. Let's see how that performs. First observation is it's heavy. And it's long. From that side, let's see if we can get something picturesque. The lighting is good. These trailers are slightly more stable than the Flegels because the undercarriage of the trailer, it's got a slightly lower center of gravity. I reckon if we can get 80 on the flat, I reckon we'll get up the hill. So let's see, can we get a decent sorry, photo op here through the trees? Never know when you might need a screenshot. Don't hit the back of the baler. This is one of those I think I can moments. As you can see, it's a fairly steep pull up here. I think in the very first season on this map, when I had a really basic trailer and an underpowered tractor, I think I was pulling... I actually started with the Defender because I thought that would be a good, cool vehicle for this map. It was completely useless. 2 pallets of boards, and it just, even on a dry road, it would just crawl up here. There's no low range on it. You know, so 1-2 kilometers an hour. And as soon as it got wet or snow came, it was just over. Nothing happened. So but the Phoenix is fit for purpose. Whoops, can't see the road. The only other annoying part of this map is that because they've put the sell point inside, it's appropriate for the climate in this part of the world. They just haven't made it easy for, so you want to take a heavily laden vehicle up there, but getting it in so that you can sell at the sell point is quite tricky. But if you like treeing, forestry, there's plenty to do here. And the train's not all that extreme in some spots, so that's why I thought there's scope for farming. You've just got to work at it a bit to cut it out. Now I think I've got to turn here. Might get out a cab for the run down the hill, I think. No worries, Jason. Great to have you along. Have a good evening. See you next time. Let's see if we can do this without rolling anything. Suffice to say, I have had the occasional rollover on this hill. I reckon that worked pretty well. So I'm happy with the trailers. Thread the trees. Whoa, almost. Saved. Now, I think what we'll do is back off the... There's no way I can back a road train. I am insufficiently skilled. So what we'll do is drop you off there. You're going to go through that doorway with that load on. Let's do this the other way. Didn't need that mirror anyway. It was overrated. So you can actually U-turn inside the shed. That makes a fairly decent size shed if you can U-turn a semi in it. Where is that sell point? I think it's in the center. Apologies for the camera jumping around, folks. It's a little bit on the tricky side. There we go. Anytime you want to sell, it'd be great, folks. I can get those two off. Come on, there you go. So that's the only tricky part of this operation, is just getting the trailers sorted. See you, Mark. Have a good one. Perfectly understandable that people need sleep. And we're about coming up to close time anyway, so we've only got a couple of minutes to go. Let's see here. I'm gonna try. So this one's longer because of the drawbar. Come on, get over there. want you to go the other way without getting caught on there. I'm gonna get jammed up on there, aren't I? Just need to get those wheels going the other... not gonna work. Not gonna work. It's not gonna work this way either, I don't think. Nope. Not on this drawbar. Defeated and rushing against the clock. Like I said, this is a difficult sell point, so more thought required in the sell point. But in terms of transport, oh come on. The trailers worked really well, so I'm a fan of those. We comfortably paid for the trailers, but I think that might be where we call it a wrap today. It's been a productive one for us, getting our crop in, getting some produce sold. I've enjoyed having you all along for the ride, really appreciate it. The plan is to do my, this time slot is sort of the main one every week, and to do a second one on Thursday evening for most of you, Friday morning, 8 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. But the big learning I had the week before my PC blew up was that even accidentally trying to stream at the same time as FSG is a really bad idea. So I had no idea he was live because he was later than normal. But it turned out I was perfectly overlapping with him and all of you and hundreds of others quite appropriately decided his was the place to be. So I will just play it a little bit by ear as to when to time that Thursday stream, which might end up making it a bit late for the UK. So it might mean a start around about an hour earlier than now. So that would be 9 AM Friday morning for me. But we'll just see how we go. So that's the current plan, and I look forward to seeing as many of you as I can next time around. Thank you very much for coming in and joining me this morning or this evening. Have a good one, folks. See ya.